All right, everybody, welcome to our Digital Insiders Aspire Masterclass. My name is Justin Smith, and I'll be going through the Aspire level training with you guys. I'm going to kind of be going over a few key points, important things to know when getting started with Aspire, just a good foundational training, and then we'll get into a question and answer period at the end. Really quick before we get started, does everybody see where that question box is in the control panel? If you can see that and you can hear me and see my screen all right, just type a 1 into the chat box real quick, just so I can make sure that everybody can hear me. All right, cool, perfect. All right, oh, thank you very much, Michael. So anyway, also really quickly, I know that might be a lot of you guys' first time on a masterclass with me. Just out of curiosity, how many of you have been on a masterclass with either myself, Tim Donovan, or Chris Daigle so far? If you just type a 2 into the chat box, if you have been on a webinar with one of us. No, okay, so a combination of, yeah, some people have, some people haven't. All right, cool. Well, we've got a lot to cover tonight, so I'm not going to get into the whole, my life story or anything like that, but just a quick insight into who I am and where I'm coming from. I worked with Tim Donovan and Chris Daigle for a while now. I actually have been friends with Tim for a long time, and we worked together for years now, 6, 7 years probably. And over the course of that period of time, we've actually launched multiple products, grossing in the millions of dollars. And part of what we've been doing over the years is training other people how to get started with their own online businesses and make money online and whatnot. So we've been teaching people this for years, and we've got a few really hardcore students that we introduced to this digital altitude program a little while ago. So we had some success with it. Of course, Tim and I and Chris were all pretty experienced marketers, but we introduced it to some of our students, and they had really great success with it as well. So once we saw how well it was doing for all of our students, we decided to kind of try and bring more people into the fold. That's when we created Digital Insiders. And Digital Insiders is essentially a group. A lot of you guys know this, but it's basically a group within a group. So it's a tribe within the digital altitude community where Tim, myself, and Chris, we all kind of work hand in hand with you guys to kind of fill in the gaps where digital altitude, while it is a great program, where we feel like we could help accelerate your success. So that's what we're doing here. And one of the first things that I want to do for you guys is go through essentially the key points that are really important to know about the first 6 steps of digital altitude, the Aspire level, to make sure that you guys have a strong foundation. And not only that, but I want to give you guys the opportunity to ask any questions if you feel like you're a little bit lost or anything. I want to give you the opportunity to ask any questions at the end of this. So we're going to go ahead and get started in just a moment. Really quick before we do, again, I want to ask you guys another question. How many of you have gone through at least the first 6 steps of the Aspire program? If you have, type a 1 into the chat box, and if you have not, type a 2 in. Okay, cool. I'm seeing a lot of 1s, so that's awesome. All right, cool. So don't worry if you haven't. It's okay. I definitely recommend that you do. But tonight I'm going to kind of touch on some key points and give you guys an opportunity to ask some questions. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing that I want to talk about is the top-tier business model. So what is a top-tier business model? Essentially, it's a business model where you focus on selling really high-ticket products, ultimately. If you have gone through the training, you know that Mike Forrest has talked about the importance of, or the difference between selling hamburgers and selling a franchise. So which is easier, selling $1 million $1 hamburgers or a $1 million hamburger franchise? All right, now obviously it would probably be easier to find that one customer and sell that one high-ticket item versus trying to find 1 million customers and sell low-ticket items to them. Now, of course, selling a $1 million hamburger franchise might sound like quite an undertaking if you're pretty new to marketing and selling things in general. But the cool thing about this program is that it really maps things out for you and shows you exactly how you can find those high ticket buyers, the people that are really willing to spend a lot of money and sell them high ticket products. So the goal here is, with a top tier business model, is to make more money with fewer sales. Now, with any online business, there's 5 essential elements. You have to have the traffic, right? So first thing is you need to have visitors to your website. You need to have prospects, people that are actually interested in possibly buying products from you. Next, you have to have a funnel in place where you can find the people that maybe don't know anything about you, create awareness, build some interest, and then help people along the path to purchase, where they ultimately make a decision that they want what you have, and then they take action and make a purchase. Then once you have people that are taking action, they kind of transition from a prospect to a lead. And then you want to filter people through the process from becoming a prospect to a lead to ultimately a buyer, somebody that's actually spent a little bit of money with you, and then find your high ticket buyers from there, people that are willing to buy more of your products and spend more money with you. And you want to be able to follow up with these people. So that's why you want to get their email information. And if any of this sounds like you don't really know, okay, how am I going to get their email? How am I going to get this traffic? Don't worry about that yet. We'll get to that. Right now, it's just important to understand that this is what you're going to ultimately need. You will need to have a follow-up in place so that once you do get the leads, once you have your buyer's contact information and just prospects' contact information, you want to be able to follow up with them and continue to create a little bit of interest and desire around your products, because a lot of times most people, when they first hear about Digital Insiders or Digital Altitude or any of this stuff, they're not going to be they might be open to it, they might be interested in it, but they're probably not going to take action right away. So you need to be able to follow up with them and build a little bit of a relationship with them so that you can build trust and then ultimately sell your products. Also, you want to have tiered products, so you don't just have one product that you're trying to sell. You want to have multiple products, and you want to have some really low ticket items that can get people in the door, and then you want to have some high ticket items that will ultimately lead to you making more profits. So we'll get into that a little bit more in just a moment. But again, when it comes to the first element, the traffic, it's really, really important to understand the power of leverage when it comes to getting traffic for your online business. A lot of people, when they first get started, they're all about free traffic and trying to find free ways to get traffic, and that's fine. If you don't have the money to do it, there are ways to get free traffic, but ultimately what you want to be doing is working towards being able to afford to buy traffic, because paid traffic is scalable, right? Free traffic is not actually free. It's very time intensive, and it's not easily scalable. If you're doing, like, a lot of free traffic methods require you to be investing a lot of time. For example, if you were to use like Facebook or something like that, social media, to build relationships with people, to contact people, and then kind of do one-on-one selling, that's great. That works for a lot of people. But how many people can you talk to in a day? How many people can you make an appointment with, and make how many sales are you going to make a day? With paid traffic, that number is literally, there's no cap. I mean, it's just however much you can afford to spend. That's directly related to how much traffic you can get and how many sales you can make in a single day. So once you find a system where you have products that you're selling, you have a sales funnel, you've got some tiered products, and you've really dialed it in so that you're able to make profit every time you get somebody to sign up to your email list or to make a purchase with you. Then if your profit, if the amount of money you're making per lead is higher than the amount of money you're spending to get that lead, then you can scale essentially, theoretically, infinitely, right? You can just scale forever, and that's how you get to that point where you're making, not just one sale every few days, but you can literally be making hundreds or thousands of dollars a day. So it's important to get to that point where you can pay for traffic. And that's when you really get leverage, okay? And it's a combination of, understanding how to get the traffic, but also really the secret, the real key is having the right business model in place where you have the opportunity to sell high-end products and have a a strong back-end sales funnel. Now, again, in terms of advertising budget, the more you can spend, like I said, the more you can spend, the faster you can scale. So, the more you're spending on advertising, the more you're spending on online ads and whatnot, the more people are going to your sales pages, the more people are going to your website. If you have more people going to your website, you have more people buying from you. So the more that you can spend, the more people go to your website, the more people will buy your products, and you just can scale very, very fast. Now, one of the things, like a lot of people think, okay, well, I made my first sales. I want to, take some of my money and enjoy it. Then I should put some of it back into traffic, right? Well, in the beginning, you really want to be putting 100% of your profit back into traffic, because that's how you're going to scale fast. Now, eventually, once you get to a certain point where you can afford to take some money out for yourself, to pay for your bills, or to pay for your travel expenses, or a vacation if you'd like, then that's great. But you're not going to get to that point where you have the type of income that you want until you are, until you have that leverage, until you have essentially your money making money for you. The money that you're putting into ads is automatically generating an ROI. Once you get to that point, then you can take a percentage out to spend on yourself or to live off of, or whatever you want to do. But initially, you should be putting 100% of your profit back into traffic, because that's how you're going to scale this business quickly. Now, when it comes to spending, in a perfect world, you'd be able to spend more per click than any of your competition. But how are you able to do that? Well, again, the secret to being able to spend more than your competition for leads is having a high-ticket back end, having a top-tier system, like we talked about, to be able to monetize all your traffic and to increase the customer value, the average customer value. So really quickly, I said, if you have any questions, don't worry. We'll hold off to the end. We have time for questions. But I just want to make sure that everybody is on the same page right now. I just want to make sure everything makes sense, and I want to clarify if anybody's confused. So if this makes sense, just type a Y into the chat box. If it doesn't, type an X into the chat box, and I'll try to clarify anything. Okay, cool. Seeing lots of Ys. All right, cool. Perfect. All right. So again, just to reiterate the power of high-ticket upsells, let's just say let's talk about average customer value a little bit. Let's say you have 10 customers. Each person buys a product from you that's $100. So you have $100 per sale. So that's an average value of $100, right? Everybody's spending $100 with you. But now let's say you have an upsell that is $1,000. Now, one out of that, just one of those 10 customers decides to take your upsell. Now, all of a sudden, you've generated $2,000 from those 10 customers instead of just $1,000, right? Because you have 10 customers times $100 for the front-end sale, that's $1,000. You have one person buy that $1,000 upsell, that's $2,000 divided, average out over those 10 customers. Now your average customer value has literally doubled to $200 per customer from $100. And that's just with one $1,000 upsell. But when you have multiple products and even higher ticket items than that, that's when you can really increase your profits. You can have $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 upsells, and that's where you're really starting to make a lot of money. But in order for this to work, now in order, again, to be able to get this leverage where you're able to spend more on traffic, let's talk about the tactical triangle. So again, you need to have traffic, right? You have to have conversions. People have to be, converting into leads and, go and making purchases to convert into sales. But what's the other thing that you need? You also have to, it's also economics is what he calls it. But really what this is you have to make a profit, okay? So you don't just want to get traffic, conversions, and sales. If you're spending, $1 per lead on, traffic, and then you're only, selling a product that's maybe $6 or $7, and you have like a low, 1 or 2% conversion rate. Sure, you might be making lots of sales, but you're probably losing a lot of money to get that traffic. So you have to make sure that the product that you're selling actually generates profit after your traffic expenses. And once you get to that point, once your sales are generating more profit than it's costing you to acquire that traffic in the first place, then you just continue to reinvest that money back into traffic, and that's when you can scale rapidly. So the more money, the more traffic you get, the more sales you get, and then you make more money. You can reinvest back into traffic, make more sales, make more money. Another important concept to kind of be aware of and focus, or just at least I guess incorporate into the way you approach your business, is the 80-20 rule. So across many, if not probably like all aspects of your business, 80% of the results are going to come from 20% of your effort. So one example of this is that in most cases, 80% of your income actually comes from 20% of your customers. So you probably have a lot of people, well, eventually you will have a lot of people buying, maybe the entry-level products, but not everybody's going to be buying those. It's going to be a small percentage that are buying your high-ticket items and becoming repeat customers, buying multiple products from you. And those are the items that are generating the most money anyway. So 80% of your income is actually coming most of the time from only 20% of your customers. So the key here is focus on the 20% that brings in 80% of the results. So focus on the 20% of the customers that are bringing in 80% of the profit. Focus on the 20% of your marketing efforts that are bringing in 80% of the results. Whenever, in any aspect of your business, you're going to find that 80% of the results are coming from 20% of your efforts. And whenever you identify that, make sure that you're focusing your time on the 20% that's generating the 80% of the results. You also, now we kind of have been transitioning, like that last concept is very much a mindset sort of thing, but mindset is critical when it comes to having success as an entrepreneur. So with the entrepreneurial mindset, think about how you were brought up, like in school. Like more than likely, you went to school and like you have families and friends, and everybody is kind of has this mentality of that you have to go to school, get good grades, get a good job. And we're brought up with this mindset. This mindset is designed to create employees. It's a system for churning out people that go get corporate 9-to-5 jobs. It trains people for like a corporate 9-to-5 job type of environment. This is what schools are designed to prepare you for. But an entrepreneurial mindset is very different. With the educational system, you get punished for making mistakes. If you do poorly on a test, you get a bad grade. If you get a bad grade in the class, you have to retake the class. So you get punished when you're making mistakes. So we're kind of conditioned, in a way, to not want to make mistakes. But entrepreneurs really have to enjoy making mistakes. You have to shift your mindset to view mistakes a lot differently. Mistakes are the way that we are able to learn what does not work, and that brings us closer to finding a solution that does work. So getting out there, taking action, being not afraid to make mistakes it's going to accelerate your learning curve and help you achieve the goals that you ultimately want to achieve. And that's a big mindset shift for a lot of people. Most people are conditioned to want to prepare, overly prepared. Being prepared is not a bad thing, by the way. You definitely, before you start spending a lot of money, especially, you want to make sure that you're prepared and that you have a good plan of action. But at the same time, you can't let it overwhelm you, like the fear of making a mistake overwhelm you and prevent you from ever getting started or taking any type of action. And this is often called paralysis by analysis, the fear of making mistakes. People try to prepare for every possible outcome. This happens all the time. People want to prepare for every possible outcome, and the end result is no action is ever taken and nothing ever gets done. Like you could read a million books on surfing, right? But no matter how many books on surfing you read or how many YouTube videos you watch, the first time you get out there on that board on the ocean and try and stand up, you're going to fall. Like it doesn't matter how many books you read, you're going to fall the first time you try and actually get up. So don't be afraid of making mistakes. Be prepared, prepare yourself, but you don't have to be prepared for every possible outcome to the point where you don't do anything. You always have to be taking some type of action to progress towards your goals. Otherwise, nothing's ever going to get done. So again, in keeping with this mindset sort of thing, let's look at, and these slides, by the way, for some of you probably noticed, like this slide in particular is something that I pulled directly from the Aspire training, but I think it's pretty important that you focus on having this mindset of other successful people. So if you look at a poor person's mindset versus a rich person's mindset, typical beliefs of a poor person is that they believe life happens to them, that they're a victim of circumstance or whatever happens in life, right? They very rarely accept any responsibility for what happens. It's always somebody else's fault. They play the money game not to lose. So they're basically trying to make money just so that they can pay their bills, and that's it. They, you know, they think small. They think of limitations. They wish and hope for things. They don't actually make a plan and take action. So they focus on the obstacles. I mean, this is very common. A lot of us, whenever we're getting into some type of new venture, we have a great idea, we start to think about all the things that could go wrong. Or you may have experienced this where you have a great idea and you tell your friends about it or you tell your family about it, and they start to say, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? Most people will tend to focus on all the problems, all the reasons why you shouldn't do something. But if the successful people don't think about things like that, they think about obstacles as opportunities. Like, okay, an obstacle, oftentimes, when it comes to business, obstacles are actually barriers to entry that keep everybody else out. But if you don't let those obstacles overwhelm you and instead you figure out solutions to the problem, that's how you become successful. Rich people don't have this victimized mentality. They believe that they are responsible for their actions, that they create their own life. They accept full responsibility for what happens, and they play the money game to win. They're not just trying to make enough money to get by. They're trying to make enough money to have a lifestyle that most people only dream of. You have to be committed, right? If you want to be wealthy, you have to be committed to that. You have to be committed to being rich and successful. You have to think big, think about all the possibilities, and you, again, plan and actually take action. And whenever whenever you have an idea, like follow through with your idea. When if you want to be successful, you have to follow through. You can't let all the negative, all the problems that could arise, like all this negative mentality overwhelm you, because that's normal. That's how everybody thinks. Even wealthy, successful people, they get that. They think about, okay, what are the obstacles? These, what problems could arise? But at the end of the day, they don't focus on those and let those limit what they want to do. They just look at those as an opportunity. Now I need to figure out, they don't quit. You can't quit because you see the obstacle ahead. You have to instead just think about how you're going to overcome that. Poor people tend to resent rich and successful people, whereas rich people admire other rich and successful people and they want to learn from them. Poor people tend to associate with negative and unsuccessful people. They say you're the sum of your 5 closest people, the people you spend most of your time around. That's very true. Wealthy people, successful people tend to associate with other wealthy, successful people that share their mindset and their beliefs. People that are unsuccessful tend to spend a lot of time around unsuccessful people. You don't really often see unsuccessful people and really successful people hanging out and going to dinner together. That's just not the way it works. People tend to associate with other people that are like them. So if you want to be successful, try to associate yourself around very positive, successful people. And even if maybe you don't have really successful people in your life right now, but you probably have some people that are at least positive, that you can spend more time, spend your time around those type of people. Try to avoid being around negative people. People that aren't successful think very negatively about selling and promoting, but that's something that you have to do if you want to be successful. If you're unsuccessful people tend to think that they're smaller than their problems, that their problems are overwhelming. Successful people don't feel that way. Successful people think that they can overcome whatever their problems are. And the truth is anybody can, but you just have to have the right mentality. Unsuccessful people tend to be poor receivers. They're not very good at accepting help from other people, but successful, wealthy people are very good at accepting help from people. That's very important. That's the only way that you're going to be able to get better and more successful is if whenever somebody's willing to lend you a hand, when somebody's the opportunity arises where somebody can help you, you got to take that opportunity. So a few things to think about. I mean, just think about your mentality. Make sure it's not just about like having a positive mentality that brings good things to you, but it's just about having the right type of mentality that allows you to overcome your problems rather than being overwhelmed by them. So moving on a little bit from the mentality, let's talk about this franchise model. So this comes back to what we were talking about in the very beginning, selling $1 million $1 hamburgers versus selling a $1 million franchise. Now, 85% of franchises succeed, while 95% of other businesses fail. So why is this? Why are franchises typically successful, but other businesses tend to be very unsuccessful? Well, it's because a franchise is a proven system. It's a proven system that works, and if you just follow the step-by-step program that the franchise owner, or the franchisor presents to you, that sells to you, essentially, then you will be successful. That it's a system that's designed to be successful, and it's been proven to be successful. Now, owning that system and selling a franchise is a lot of hard work, but you don't have to own the system to profit from it. You don't have to be Ray Kroc to have a successful McDonald's, right? You just have to buy the franchise, do what you're told, follow the program. You can have a successful McDonald's. The franchise system works. You're following a proven system where everything is done for you. It's a step-by-step process, and it's systemized and it's scalable. So when you have success with one franchise, you can buy another one, right? And you can buy many franchises. It's whatever you can afford. If you are able to generate the funds from one to be able to buy another one, you can do that. And the franchise systems are designed so that you can. So if you were to buy a franchise, you'd be able to grow it. So with the Aspire program, with Digital Altitude, that's essentially what this is, right? And if you were to go out there now, you can absolutely go through the training, and you can decide, what, I want to do something that's completely different. I want to do my own thing, and that's great. You can absolutely do that. But just keep in mind that there are a lot of costs that go into this setup of what Digital Altitude offers you. So with Digital Altitude, as somebody that's promoting Digital Altitude, you have access to the members area, affiliate tracking, internet marketing training, sales letter and email copywriting services, live chat support services. I'm not going to read all this to you, but you can look at it and you can just see how much it would cost you to get it set up versus like what you guys are already paying. And obviously you guys are already members, so I'm not trying to sell this to you. I just want to kind of keep things in perspective a little bit, that if you were to go out and do all of this on your own, what Digital Altitude is doing for you, it would be extremely expensive. And maybe you'll get to that point. But being able to follow a proven model that's outlined for you with the Digital Altitude program, you're able to, see success quickly, scale that success, and then you know what works and what doesn't. And then if you wanted to, you can go out and branch out and do something on your own, incorporating what you've learned from the Digital Altitude system. But there's the follow-up, as we mentioned before, follow-up is extremely important. With Digital Altitude, you have somebody else, you just generate the leads, and somebody else is doing the follow-up. Somebody else, they have a phone support team, phone sales team, all kinds of follow-up methods to take your leads and ascend them along the path to purchasing higher-end products. So some things to keep in mind with creating a sales funnel is that you have to you have to think about, okay, how deep does it go? The deeper your funnel is, the more profitable it'll be. The more products that you have in your funnel and the more high-ticket items you have in your funnel, the more profit you're going to be able to generate. Is it hands-off for you? How much time do you have to spend on the business? Is it automated? Is it systemized so that other people can take over your tasks so you don't have to spend all of your time working on the business? How much profit is involved? Are you able to generate the type of profit that's necessary to be able to reinvest in traffic to scale the business? Do you have to actually spend your time cold calling and following up with your leads, or do you have somebody else that's able to do that? Because the less time you have to actually spend working in your business, the more time you can spend working on your business and working on generating leads and sales. So with all of this, with digital altitude, and even if you wanted to go out and do something else that's not not digital altitude, but have another create your own online business, opportunity-based products are really a great way to go because the profit margins are really high. First of all, you're selling information, not a physical product that has a lot of overhead and expense to create. But so the costs are pretty low, but you can have really, really high profit margins. And people with opportunity-based products, people are buying knowledge, right? Knowledge or some type of expertise. So this could be, of course, your knowledge or expertise in a given area, or as like an affiliate, you could be promoting other people's products where they have a certain knowledge or expertise that they're exchanging for, that they're offering in exchange for the customer's money, obviously. Some points on competition when you're thinking about a market to get into. Keep in mind that competitive markets are actually good. It means people are willing to spend money for your products. Uncompetitive markets mean that there's no money in those markets. So if people are spending money in a certain market, that means that if a market is competitive, that means that people are spending money there. When there's markets that aren't competitive at all, that's probably because nobody's willing to spend money for those types of products or services. So go after the competitive markets, but niche down to differentiate yourself from the competition. So example of this, first of all, there's the big three niche markets that you might be familiar with. There's like the make money online, or just make money in general, finance markets, dating and relationships, health and fitness. These are three big niches these are huge markets, right? Huge markets with hundreds of millions of people that will spend money in these markets. But because they're competitive, you can't just come out with a very generic dating and relationship or health and fitness product. You have to differentiate yourself somehow. So in order to differentiate yourself, you need to niche down. So examples of this, here's some examples from the health and fitness market. Instead of just offering a weight loss product, it could be something like weight loss for brides, or kettlebell workouts for women, or how to lose weight after pregnancy. So these are all these are all niches within a broader market. And when you niche down, not only are you able to differentiate yourself from the competition, but when you communicate with your subscribers or your leads or your customers, when you're communicating with these people, you can be very, very specific, and you're talking to a very, very specific person. So it resonates much, much more strongly than a more generic product. Now, when you're putting together your product funnel, there are a few different types of products that you're going to have. So initially, you might have what is referred to as a feeder product, or it's no profit loss leader. So this is a product that you're not making any profit from, and you very well might be losing money every time somebody buys it. But it's typically something low cost and something that is going to get people into your product funnel and help them get familiar with you and the products and services that you offer. So it's basically a form of advertising. So it costs money, it costs you money every time somebody's buying it, but you're getting more people into your funnel that will buy other products. So the next level is a funded product. This is a product that actually pays for your advertising. So it's not designed to make profit, but it's designed to get you to a break-even point so that every dollar you're spending on advertising gets paid back when somebody buys, when people buy products at that level. Then you have higher ticket items, like your primary offer, where you'll make a little bit of profit from the primary offer. At this point, if you have your feeder product in place and you have your funded product in place, now you're breaking even, so your primary product will start generating product for you. But then you have the back end where you have all your upsells and your other products, and this maximizes your products. This is where you make the real money. So you want to have all of that in place in order to have a really successful online business. Now, licensing, so we talked about franchising. Licensing, it's the same, it's a similar concept to franchising. When you're buying a franchise, you're buying like a license and right to use somebody else's brand. So this is a really fast and easy way to grow a business because you get to leverage another company's brand. You get to leverage the amount of money and effort that they put in and time that they put into creating a reputable brand that people recognize and that people trust. So by licensing somebody else's brand, this saves a lot of time and a lot of effort on your end. This can make you a lot more than just affiliate commissions and promoting affiliate products. And when you license a product, you can even actually have, in a lot of cases, have the owner of the product deliver it for you. So they handle all the deliverability. Again, this is just like what's going on with Digital Altitude. This is the way their system's set up, so that you're essentially licensing their brand, you promote their brand, promote their products, and they do all the fulfillment, they handle all the follow-up, okay? So you guys know all this, but I just want to now get to the questions because a lot of this might be new to you guys, so I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions that you have to get a little bit of clarity and help you guys have some success with this. So just go ahead and type your questions in the chat box. Something else I want to address real quick is the Digital Altitude members area. So some of you guys, most of you guys I think said that you have already gone through at least the first 6 steps. Some of you haven't. So just make sure that you go through here, go through all 6 steps, and when you do, be sure that you don't overlook the additional resources. Don't just watch the video. There's some really good additional resources. When you go to each step, you'll see that there's an overview PDF. So this is just a simple overview of what you learn in the training. Then there's a study guide. This is really important. Make sure you do this. Like I said before, you have to take action. If you want to be successful, you have to take action. So print out the study guides, fill out the study guides, and this is something that you can do. It doesn't take more than a few minutes. Something you can do in less than 30 minutes a day. You can do this. Fill out the study guide for each step, and then go through the lesson checklist. You can also, of course, take if you want to listen to the audio on the go, you can download MP3 there. But make sure that you take advantage of these resources. They're really going to help accelerate the learning curve. Make sure that you really understand what is going on with Digital Altitude. What incorporate. It's going to help you to incorporate and internalize what's being taught in the lessons. So really valuable. And then when you speak with your coach, it's going to help you know what questions to ask. Like when you do these calls with me, you're going to be able to you're going to have a better idea of what questions you need to ask to get more clarity and accelerate your learning curve and have more success. Now, a few people have mentioned that they've had a hard time getting in touch with their coaches. So your coach is probably very busy most of the time. They have other clients, and sometimes they're just they have their own lives. Part of the reason why they're doing this is to have freedom of time and financial freedom, so they don't have to go to a job and spend all their time working. They want to enjoy their life and enjoy their income and everything. So the best way, your coaches are available, but the best way to get in touch with them is when you log in, go to Call Coach, and then schedule a call. So you just, right here, you'll have an option to click Book Call, and then you'll go through a process of clicking, okay, what type of call do I need to make? You schedule your call, you book it, choose your time zone, choose the date and the time, and then you just fill out your name, email, and then answer whatever questions. Fill out this next spot, and you'll be able to book your call, and your coach will call you. Okay, so that's the way that you're going to be able to get in touch with your coach. Just trying to call them randomly on a Sunday night, it's probably not going to work. They're not going to answer. So if you want to get in touch with them, make sure that you book a call. So does all of this, does everybody, does make sense to everybody? Just so you guys know, this is a pretty small group tonight. So if you do have any questions, now's the time. Feel free to ask any questions that you have. I'm here to answer them. But real quick, I just want to make sure, if you don't have any questions, that's great. If you could, just type a 1 into the chat box if all of this makes sense to you. Or if you do have any questions, just type the question in. All right, cool. So this makes sense to everybody? All right, awesome. Well, if nobody has any questions, then we'll go ahead and wrap up a little bit early. So thank you guys very much for taking the time to attend. I hope that this has been helpful for you. I hope that this has helped to kind of lay the foundation a little bit for your online business. And yes, Michael, my hair is still that long. Okay, Michael, the traffic. So we'll get to that. Right now, I'm going to say just don't worry about the traffic. Worry about getting through this level. We're going to get you taken care of. We're going to make sure that you get traffic and everything. The traffic that we do recommend My Traffic Source, but we're going to get to all of that later on. It's kind of, we're at a foundational level right now, so don't put the cart before the horse. Make sure that you just check in with your coach and get through all of the training in Digital Altitude, and we'll get to the traffic, and we'll get to the Digital Insiders landing pages and all of that sort of stuff. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Well, yeah, we'll get you right now. This call is just to get you guys a good foundation in the Aspire level, but there will be a time for doing all of the getting all the traffic and everything running. We do have some custom pages, and we'll get those for you. Just keep an eye on your email, and we'll get you guys your custom pages and all that sort of stuff. All right, guys. So thank you for attending, and I will see you again next. I guess this Thursday we've got another training for you guys, and feel free if you want to hop on next Tuesday. We'll be doing the same training, but if you do have any additional questions, just hop on next Tuesday, and I will see you guys then. Thank you.